Morpheus, Morpheus, go eat some walruses, orifices, porridges. Red pill, blue pill, Morpheus, walruses. Seashells by the seashore, Orpheus.
What?
Morpheus drinking a 40 in a death basket.
Where'd you move here from? Dumbsville?
Yo, I hit the jeweler, got some goals. I sold a little weed, but I could never sell my soul. And when I'm in LA, you find me out in Lil Smoke. Come a vocal with my ramen, I'ma need another bowl. Let's go.
The Matrix Resurrections is a massive disappointment. And you know what else is disappointing? The fact that Kanye West won't leave my house.
Shut your bitch ass mouth. I'm here to enact my interlevel master plan under you. The world will soon feel the wrath of easy.
Okay, but why are you telling me this? Why would you knowingly invade my home to tell me some evil plan that's meant to be a secret? I don't even pose any threat to you. Why are you telling me this? This is just another level of dumbassery, Kanye. This is why Kim left you. Damn it, fuck me.
I just wanted to do all this for Kim. I wanted to impress her. I just want Kim to run on back to me. She was my world and now she's gone fucking on that ugly ass Pete Davidson.
Oh, well, sorry I brought it up, man.
My darling Kim, why won't God bring us back?
Well, I'm gonna watch The Matrix while you're busy with that. Anyways, I love The Matrix. The Matrix, the first one, is an absolute sci-fi action classic. On the surface, yeah, it's a cool-ass action movie with crazy stunts. But right below the surface lies a really intelligent philosophical drama. It's a film about anti-conformity, leading to a really smart exploration on how we perceive the world, and the conflict between comfort and individualism.
This is like George Orwell's book, 1984.
The Matrix, for me, is one of the earliest examples of the kind of work I would grow to love in the future. Works like Metal Gear Solid 2 and Evangelion have a lot of the same themes and ideas as The Matrix, where your perceptions on reality aren't exactly what you think they are.
You have Uno, you fucking dick!
The Matrix also had 2 sequels, and you know what? Fuck you. I like The Matrix Reloaded. Suck my fucking cock. And The Matrix Revolutions is a movie, and for years I always wondered what a 4th Matrix movie would look like. What refinements could be made to the franchise? What other philosophical ideas could be added onto the story? The ending of Revolutions seemed to imply that there was more to come.
Why do you come?
Even bigger question, would the Wachowski sisters be involved? Should they even be involved? Their track record with their own franchise is already divisive, and anything post-Matrix proved to be even more divisive, with films like Jupiter Ascending being literally unwatchable, or films like Cloud Atlas becoming a joke on Rick and Morty. To say their track record is inconsistent would be an understatement. To make matters even more complicated, Lily Wachowski would not be involved in the project. This left Lana Wachowski, the last Wachowski sister, as the sole director of the project. She was the one having to fight fucking fire ants. But with one Wachowski gone, could Lana live up to her own legacy? Would she be able to captivate the same magic that the original did years ago? Either way, I was excited. The Matrix was the first R-rated movie I ever watched on ClearPlay. But through it all, I watched this movie in theaters. I forgoed HBO Max this time around. And you know what? Lana did it. This is by far the most personal story in the whole Matrix series. A metafictional commentary on the state of cinema. It's a movie about grief, rekindling yourself, and finding self-worth, and it sucked. Now, it would be easy to just stop there and just dog on Lana, but I really don't think that's fair, because The Matrix Resurrections itself is a really weird case. It's a really bad movie, don't get me wrong, but there is stuff I like about it. In fact, underneath all the garbage that is this movie, there are some phenomenal high-concept ideas here. Clearly, throughout the movie, Lana wants to write a personal story. This personal aspect, from the interviews I've seen, isn't unintentional either.
I needed to process some grief, and I really kind of needed to have all of these people around who knew my parents.
And a lot of that I really do appreciate, which makes the fact that I don't like this movie hurt even more, because not only do I want to like it, but I feel like a dick for shitting on it. But I do want to make it clear that all my criticisms aren't personal at all, and I genuinely do hope Lana can make a better movie next time around. Just keep that in mind. Anyways, this here is a transition into the actual video. So our film opens with literal nostalgia bait, where they literally spray paint shots and dialogue from the original movie.
Hello, Lieutenant. Your men are already dead.
Get used to this. Anyways, in the closet, we meet this girl and this guy. Naturally, this is where good dialogue happens.
You know what happens next? She kicks their ass. He's tripping balls.
And then this person who I think is Trinity beats all the bad guys in a beatbox battle. She then runs outside and the other characters follow her. But the one new female character is all like, oh, this is not like the movie that I remember watching in 1999. You then get an Uncharted set piece, and Ramona Flower sneaks into a nearby shop. But she's then caught by this guy, and the two of them have very good dialogue.
My name is Bugs. As in, Bunny.
Big strong gets big.
And then for no reason, she sees a picture of Neo on a desk. And she's all like, Neo is alive, I know it because I saw him once in a flashback. And then the Agent Program character also has a flashback and then suddenly thinks he's Morpheus.
I am Morpheus.
Morpheus.
She then red pills, and the two of them escape, and that's about it. A bit confusing, but we are only 15 minutes in. Surely the film has to flesh out these brand new characters and not resort to total nostalgia bait. Cut to Keanu Reeves, who is a game designer for a company called Deus Machina.
I have to drop something.
And in this version of the in-universe Matrix, apparently Keanu Reeves thinks the Matrix trilogy is a video game he designed. A video game trilogy that in fact won a Game Award, meaning that Jeff Keighley is Matrix canon.
Among us.
Anyways, this guy walks in, and he's all like, let's get coffee, Keanu. So they go to a coffee place called Simulatte. This is when something weird happens. The film, out of nowhere, becomes uncomfortably meta.
First time I played the trilogy, I was shook.
Once again, get used to this. But then suddenly Trinity walks in. But she's not Trinity anymore. Now she's Tiffany. You get it, guys. It's the letter T and 3 syllables. Genius idea.
Total effort. Mill.
So they start talking, but this kid roasts Keanu Reeves.
Hey, you trying to blow my mom or what?
Wouldn't you like to know, weather boy?
But her husband Chad walks in, and then they leave, and that's it. Neo then goes back to his office and is very sad. But he's then called in by his boss, who makes Agent Smith references.
Billions of people just living out their lives.
You get it, guys. They showed a clip from The Matrix 1. The film then gets even more uncomfortably meta. Straight up name-dropping how Warner Brothers wants a Matrix 4.
I'm sure you can understand why our beloved parent company, Warner Brothers, has decided to make a sequel to the trilogy.
Not only that, but Keanu is threatened that if he doesn't make a 4th Matrix video game, he'll end up making it without him. This causes Keanu to go into a nervous breakdown, and despite being able to hide it, he ends up discussing it at a therapy session with the guy from the Smurfs movie. Now at this point, it's very clear what Lana is trying to do. Keanu Reeves is Lana Wachowski, and The Matrix game is The Matrix movie. In other words, The Matrix Resurrections isn't so much The Matrix 4, but more so a movie about making The Matrix 4. And on a surface level, I don't think it's a bad idea, actually. It's a very Metal Gear Solid 2-esque sequel. And the universe of The Matrix, being about questioning your reality, is ripe for this kind of idea. The first problem, though, is that it just isn't written very well. The allegory is not subtle, and that hurts the movie. It comes off as way too personal, but at the same time, weirdly way too corny. TLDR, it breaks immersion in the worst way possible. I am absolutely all for art as therapy, and putting your own feelings, emotions, and experiences into a story can allow for a really high level of narrative intimacy. But this kind of on-the-nose fourth wall shattering is just way too blatant and actively takes your audience out of the experience. In other words, this should have been more subtle. Anyway, so it turns out Neo is prescribed blue pills. Man, I didn't know he was a liberal! We then get another metafictional montage where characters talk about their incorrect, unbased opinions on The Matrix.
Didn't love the first one.
I don't like the Matrix.
Which once again comes off as way too heavy-handed for its own good. To the point where it gets really uncomfortable.
Obviously, the Matrix is about
Trans politics.
Crypto-fascism.
We cut back to the coffee shop. So now Trinity and Keanu Reeves meet up again, and the two of them have a talking scene. And Trinity's all like, oh, you made The Matrix. And Keanu's all like, yeah, I'm a gamer. And Trinity's all like, there's a woman in your video game, and she's just like me. And I will prove it by showing off really badly color-graded footage. Really weird that Lana Wachowski is getting influenced by Alpha and Omega Family Vacation. But then Trinity leaves, I guess.
My youngest stuck a Lego up his nose.
Okay, you're just racially profiling now. So Keanu goes back to work, but the whole place goes on lockdown. He then gets texted by someone mysterious, telling him to meet him in the bathroom. He then goes into the bathroom and meets the not Morpheus from earlier.
At last.
So after some really blatant nostalgia bait, Morpheus is all like, Neo, take the red pill and suck me off in the bathroom.
I mean, to be fair, I would do that too.
But Keanu's all like, no, I don't want to. Put me back in John Wick. That one has Lawrence Fishburne in it. But then an action scene happens, and it's surprisingly underwhelming. The color grading is awful. It's shot like a cheap Bourne knockoff. There's no real weight to the actual action, which is really weird since The Matrix is known for its action. But then Keanu Reeves' boss walks out and then thinks he's Agent Smith.
Mr. Anderson!
Yeah, we really had to show that clip from the first movie because our audience is stupid. But then Keanu sees the black cat from the first movie and is teleported back to the therapy office. Okay, what the hell is the slow-mo effect? Am I watching Cyberpunk being played on an Xbox One? Was this movie made in 2004? Anyways, more metafiction happens.
It was your great ambition to make a game that was indistinguishable from reality. You converted elements of your life into narrative.
You wrote dog shit, Mr. Anderson.
A married woman named Tiffany became the trinity of a doomed romance.
But he only met her like 5 minutes ago. Has he been watching her since 1999 or something?
Bitch, I'm not a stalker.
Anyways, Neo goes Max Payne 3 and tries to kill himself. But thankfully, Ramona Flowers saves him. And she's all like, oh my god, Neo, I'm your biggest fan. And she's also all like, follow me, Neo. We gotta Force Awakens this shit. And Keanu Reeves is all like, well, that movie did make a lot of money. So they walk into this door and into a room that's playing The Matrix 1. Holy fuck, this is a Path of Neo reference, isn't it?
Nothing comforts anxiety like little nostalgia.
And Morpheus is all like, Neo, it's time to get red-pilled. Say the N-word. And after a bunch of talking, long story short, Neo takes it. He then tries going through this mirror, but then, oh no, it's the guy from the Smurfs movie! Ramona Flowers then shoots the mirror, and we get a badass and underwhelming action scene. Which continues onto this train, I guess. Which, on that note, what the hell happened to the action? I mean, look at how mid the cinematography is. This is really bad. This is The Matrix. You legitimately couldn't do better? Like, look at this shit. What the fuck is this shot? So anyways, they shove Keanu into a mirror, and he ends up in the real world. He then sees Trinity and is all like, oh no, Trinity! But then a sentinel comes down, and what the fuck is this color bleed? How did this get past the fucking quality control? Hold on, let me up the vibrance and contrast real quick. Oh yeah, now that's better. Anyways, the sentinels bring Keanu back to the ship with the new characters on it, and they're all like, oh no, we're losing him. So they jack him into the first movie reference. And in this first movie reference, Morpheus reveals that he is a program who is Agent Smith and Morpheus, and he also reveals that he's made by Neo, but not this Neo, but this Neo, who is a game designer, who is also that Neo.
He wrote me as an algorithmic reflection of two forces, Morpheus and Agent Smith.
But he's also not that Agent Smith that we saw earlier. No, this is a different program altogether. But fuck being cohesive. No, instead, let's go to a Kung Fu dojo and reference the first movie again. So Morpheus and Neo fight, and Neo epically fails until he epically wins or something. I don't fucking know. Keanu then wakes up and there's a talking scene, who gives a fuck, and we're introduced to all the new characters. There's Bugs, who we've already seen throughout the movie, the Morpheus program, who can talk through balls, and everyone else. That's how important they are. We're then introduced to the city of Io, a new human civilization, where we then meet up with Niobe, who you may remember from the classic video game Enter the Matrix. She's then all like, why did you bring back Neo? You're a fucking idiot, Bugs Bunny, Big Chungus. We then get an exposition dump talking scene. This scene is most notable for me taking a piss during it. And when I returned to the theater and asked my dad what happened, he said nothing. That tells you how important and engaging it is. It's also revealed that Morpheus is dead, and he died in a Matrix Online video game from 2005.
How could I know this would happen?
Well, you could play The Matrix Online, but that game was shut down like 10 fucking years ago. But because Neo wants to rescue Trinity or something, Niobe locks him up. But thankfully, not Morpheus comes in. And all the new characters set Neo free and decide to help him free Trinity. So they go back inside the Matrix, and they all enter into this place. We then meet up with not Hugo Weaving Agent Smith, whose new actor entirely misses the point of Agent Smith's character. The original character is meant to play off the whole Men in Black conspiracy theory, and Hugo Weaving did a great job making him this mysterious and secretive threat. It's a fine line between professional and creepy.
It seems that you've been living two lives.
But apparently, Kristoff from Frozen over here thinks he's an MCU villain.
So obvious once you see it, right? But this whole altered code update really blew my mind.
I don't know about you, but I'm not scared by Zac Efron over here. So after some talking, he's all like, I have some old friends for you, Mr. Anderson. And a bunch of California citizens come out. One of them being the French guy from The Matrix Reloaded. Which, I'll be honest, seeing this once really pompous character get degraded to a member of Tampa, Florida is really funny. Sadly, it's followed up by another underwhelming fight scene. All while the French guy rants about iPhones. No, I'm not joking.
We had style, we had conversation. Not this
So the metafiction has officially devolved from poorly written but interesting to fucking boomer comic.
Art, films, books, they were all better. Originality matters.
And what really sucks is that there's a lot of good ideas behind this. As I mentioned earlier, The Matrix Resurrections borders on metafiction. The Matrix Resurrections wants to be a critique on modern Hollywood, which philosophically is a natural evolution of this franchise. But philosophically, that falls apart when you're nostalgia baiting. It furthermore doesn't help when you have another fight scene after this, where Neo and Agent Blith fight with old movie footage interspliced in, you know, Alpha and Omega 5 style. You can't just critique the industry for being unoriginal, and then immediately afterwards suck off the old movies. This would be like Cosmodor making a video on why pedophilia is bad. Like, you are the fucking problem.
I like 15-year-old girls!
Once again, this is a good idea. Metal Gear Solid 2 did something like this. But Metal Gear Solid 2 was consistent. The nostalgia is meant to throw you off, but The Matrix Resurrections doesn't know what it wants to be. And it ends up appealing to no one, except for, I don't know, fucking Letterboxd users. So Neo then does an epic crisp 90 and beats Agent Smith. And he's all like, I need to get some pussy. So he pulls up on Trinity and he's all like, Trinity, you used to call me on the cell phone, getting caught.
I'm thirsty for you. I'ma do you up in the bed.
But then, uh-oh, the guy from the Smurfs comes out, and he then slows down time and gives a long-ass exposition, revealing that he is the new architect or something. He also reveals that the only way to reactivate Neo was to put Trinity in close proximity, because the power of love, I guess. I don't know, this shit's fucking stupid. This film has the intelligence of the people that asked me to do Saw and Amy content again. And also, of course, more metafiction.
What validates and makes your fictions real? Feelings.
Let's say you've been a bad girl.
And god damn it, this shit angers me. Because on paper, this is like Metal Gear Solid 2 AI conversation shit. The relationship between the human mind and fiction, and how that narratively relates to how this new Matrix works is actually really interesting on paper. But it's delivered like an MCU villain, making it way more generic than it probably intends to be. Once again, in contrast, Metal Gear Solid 2's AI conversation scares me to this day. It's a very similar scene where the big, massive curtain is pulled back, but the AI conversation is way more creepy, way more unnatural, and in a very metafiction way, much more self-deprecating.
I was just trying not to.
What? Trying not to hurt me? Dear, the one you were trying not to hurt was yourself. Avoiding the truth under the guise of kindness is all that you did.
But in here, it's presented so blandly. Once again, this is all really cool on paper, but executed really terrible. But then, all the new characters who barely have any actual development walk in, and jack all the characters out of the Matrix. But then, Niobe's crew spots them and takes them back to Io. And Niobe's all like, you disobeyed my orders, I am very angry at this. But then, this thing comes in. And it wants Neo to come to a garden, where we meet up with the grown-up version of the girl from the Matrix Revolutions. Whoa! So one exposition dump later, they're all like, we gotta save Trinity now. And that's about it. So while everyone else in the real world saves Trinity on the outside, which for the first time actually has some pretty good VFX shots, it's now Neo's job to save Trinity on the inside. So he goes up to Neil Patrick Harris and is all like, do y'all sell crab legs? And the Smurfs guy is all like,
we'll let Tiff decide.
So Trinity walks in and Keanu's all like, Trinity, this is not a game, it's real life. And Trinity's all like, yeah, it felt so real when I played your video game. Which, on that note, an old white woman playing a video game is just about the most unrealistic thing I've ever seen. But then Trinity's fake family, who we have no emotional connection to, walk in and are all like, Trinity, come with us! And she's about to go with them, but then she decides, no, I want to be with Keanu Reeves.
Which, to be fair, I would do that too.
My name is Trinity, and you better take your hands off of me.
So she beats up her husband, Base? But then the Smurfs guy freezes time and is all like,
Women used to be so easy to control.
Hello, Base?
But then Agent Smith Deus Ex Machinas himself and is now helping Neo, and he punches Neil Patrick Harris, which to be fair, I would do that too. And after one epic submarine fight, Keanu and Trinity use their intercourse powers to win the battle. Also, Neil Patrick Harris dies and Agent Smith leaves, and that's about it. They all then head outside, and there's a massive swarm of evil programs. So Neo hops on this bike with Trinity. And long story short, because I'm tired of working on this fucking video, there's a big massive chase scene, probably where all the money was reallocated to. There's some really bad color grading, and Neo and Trinity make it to the top of this building, where an actually really good action scene happens. I mean, look at this shit. Neo holding the bullets in place, but he's struggling to. This looks cool. Where was this for the past 2 fucking hours? Anyways, Neo and Trinity win, I guess. And also, this shot right here shows Lana Wachowski's incompetency. Because in this shot, Carrie Ann Moss is kissing Keanu Reeves when it should be me. And they Playboy Cardi dial it off this building. But Neo is struggling to fly like in the first movie, but it turns out Trinity can fly.
Wow, this song is so beautiful. Get Anna Blue Smash, So Alone on your phone.
And then they're unplugged and Neo and Trinity cradle each other, and yeah, that's about it. They then go back into the Matrix and meet up with Neil Patrick Harris. And they're all like, we're gonna remake the Matrix. But then Neil Patrick Harris says something interesting.
I say, go for it. Remake it. But here's the thing. The sheeple aren't going anywhere. They like my world. They don't want freedom or empowerment. They want to be controlled. They crave the comfort of certainty.
Which once again makes this movie extra frustrating. What Neil Patrick Harris just said is really interesting. If we are given free will, then why do so many people choose against it? Choosing to be a cultural slave instead of a real individual human being. It's a question of what's more important, free will without comfort or comfort without free will. Stuff like this is once again a natural philosophical evolution of this franchise. And putting this under the context of fandom culture within a big franchise movie is genius. But once again, these ideas are as quickly abandoned as they are introduced. Because right after he says this, the film just kind of ends. Keanu and Trinity just kind of laugh and are all like, we're gonna make the sheeple free. And then just fly off into the sunset while a really shitty cover of Wake Up by Rage Against the Machine plays. Well, better luck next time. Anyways, as I was saying, and furthermore, and I guess now, in conclusion, The Matrix Resurrections has a lot of really great ideas in it. But as quickly as it introduces these ideas, and as quickly as it criticizes its own industry, it becomes the very exact thing it's criticizing its industry for. In that regard, it's kind of a hypocritical movie. What ends up happening is, and I hate to say this, it's kind of a Force Awakens Last Jedi hodgepodge. And it's a mess because of it. Now, I mainly say that ideologically. However, I've seen a lot of people comparing this to The Last Jedi in a not very good way. It's kind of hard to explain, so let me try and give an example. These social justice woke libtards completely Last Jedi the Matrix. It's either that or, you know, modern journalism, which I don't think is entirely fair. In that case, you had a guy who was part of an unplanned trilogy, who wasn't even the original creator to begin with. Not to say it was or wasn't the case, but it comes off as someone hijacking someone else's story. But in this case, this is Lana's story. This is her franchise. And as easy as it is to lump the Matrix in with a bunch of Last Jedis, I really don't think it's fair to do that. Especially when there are actually good ideas here, and the franchise is fit for that kind of storytelling. What I'm trying to say is, I really wanted to like The Matrix Resurrections, and a part of me still does. But the problem is, the film just isn't very coherent, and is extremely inconsistent. Once again, the film goes from criticizing its own medium to reveling in it. And when your film's own philosophy borders on hypocrisy, that's not a good thing. What this movie really needed from a metafiction point of view was the architect scene. Something akin to the Third Impact in Evangelion or the AI conversation in MGS2. So you're not just meandering around with these themes, and instead actually coming to a conclusion with them. And furthermore, to not play it so damn safe. If you're gonna be metafiction, be metafiction. Don't half-ass it. The fight scenes and everything are all not very good, so you can't really even watch it as a dumb, fun action movie. In conclusion to this conclusion, I really wanted to like this. Just a shame that I don't. Anyways, you feeling better, Kanye? Oh, great. This'll take a while.
Fuck you in the lanes you came with. Me and you ain't on the same shit. You ain't in my lane, bitch. Nah, all that shit it fits. Rollie on my wrist. Ay, baby, you a star. I'm my only wish. I'm counting blue honeys. I'm too money. Ay, and my little bitch, she too lovely. Yeah, hanging up and calling me right back. Ay, baby, why you calling me like that? Yeah, getting high with the seat, lay back. Baby, gon' relax, yeah. Hey, they don't know the half, yeah. No matter what happened, I got your back. Baby, that's the facts, yeah. That's the facts, yeah. Hey, we can fight, but the feeling's gone. I try to find the words, but they never